Hey guys, we're Samurai Reviews, coming with you with John Wick 3, Parabellum.
We just watched John Wick 3. It was one of the most entertaining movies I've seen all year, just to start off. We're going to give you our reviews first, and then we're going to go through non-spoilers, and then we're going to do some spoiler reviews, and then we'll go into IMDB reviews, and, just the huge. Perfect.
This one's kind of tricky for me to review on it. I don't really know what to give it. It took me a while to figure it out. In the end, I'll give it an 8.
Like, if we're rating it based on enjoyment level, solid 10. It got me so into the movie, and that's one of the things it does really well, is it entertains, like, all the way through. And, I mean, there were some things that were a little predictable in it, for sure, and there were some things that were somewhat repeated, but, I mean, just barely, and because of that, I'll also give it an 8. Definitely a very good movie.
So, I guess it's my turn, right? I'm going to give this movie a 7.5. Let me tell you the reasoning for that. For an action movie, it's a 9, because the action was just amazing.
Choreographed perfectly, as you
I've never
could
seen
do.
better fight scenes.
And that just...
But still grounded enough.
Yeah,
Most
it's
of the
grounded
time.
enough
Most
that,
of the time, yeah.
It's not like over your head or anything. It's not like sci-fi, CGI stuff. Like it was well run, well paced. It just kept going.
It never ran out of fuel.
Right.
It just added more to the fire.
And that's why the entertainment value is there. But I'm putting it as a 7.5 because the story. The thing is that the story kind of picks up from the last movie, and that's what you need to kind of like fuel you through that story.
The action in it is so good that you don't need that story element.
Yeah.
And then the story element that is there isn't necessarily bad. It's just not above an 8. Like it's not excellent, but it's good. Therefore, 7.5.
Yeah. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, no problem, man.
I felt like the story was there, but it wasn't there.
Yeah.
But the only reason why it was there was because of the other two movies.
Mm-hmm. Basically, to round up all those scores, that's going to total out to a Samurai review of 7.8. 7.8 movie, pretty good. Not excellent, but pretty dang good.
If you like the first two, you'll like this one.
If you're into any type of action movie, this is ideal.
Oh yeah.
It's almost groundbreaking. Yeah.
Go watch it. Go watch it. It's nothing you've ever seen before.
This one's a lot more. You can tell the amount of training he puts in with, like, he trained with SEALs multiple times for all 3 of these movies, I think. Mm-hmm. And you can tell how seriously he took this training and how well it translated into this movie. All the characters in it. Halle Berry was maybe my favorite character in this movie. Like, she did an amazing job. And
no, Brett, it's the dogs.
It is the dog.
It was the dogs.
Yeah, all 3 of them. So Halle Berry's character in this is very, they create a character that's very well-rounded in a very short amount of time. And you get her motivations, you get where her allegiance lies and why, and you get, all her actions throughout the movie, what she chooses to do. Like, it all makes sense. And then her fight scenes are just as good. She did an excellent job. Even just her line delivery was great in this movie.
Lawrence
Fishburne is a
Lawrence
gem.
Fishburne.
Absolutely.
I loved his line deliveries in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Yep. He definitely stays true to character from the first
his
two.
His facials too, but like I felt like he was the best actor. And in line delivery and just playing his role he was the best one in that whole movie.
I told one of you guys this before we started recording, and I was every time an actor would come on screen, I'd be thinking like, for the review, I'm going to mention how good this actor is. And then the next actor would come on screen and do something, and I'd be like, got to mention that too, because that's like just as good. And then the next actor, and it was just actor after actor performing excellently. And I think it's in part because they're all really, really good actors. But I think it's also a credit to the director in this movie.
Uh-huh.
He did an excellent job directing their emotion, their motivation. Like, everything, everyone in this movie did their part. Every piece of it, the camera guy, the lighting guy, the set design, costume design. Everyone did an excellent job. The dog trainer, props. They did an absolutely great job. Everyone, so. But yeah. Applause.
That is one of the cool things is this movie gives you a lot more of like the surrounding universe in John Wick. I think I finally like pinpoint what was not wrong about this movie, but just it didn't feel like a start and end movie to me. It definitely feels like a part of a grander scheme for more movies.
Well, spoiler time. Mentioning what Jonathan was saying, there will be more movies.
Most likely.
Yes. Yeah. Chapter 4.
And I mean, it kind of throws you right into it.
Yeah.
Too, because it starts out like he's running in the rain with his dog.
Right, yeah.
Just trying to get some things done before his time limit runs out. Because at the end of 2, the hotel manager gives him an hour before he excommunicates him. So he's trying to use all his favors that he has to, get patched up, get a few items. And he runs into Boban Marjanovic, center for the Clippers. Which was a little that's new.
Comes out of nowhere and just fights
Boban Marjanovic. He plays this giant hitman. This is the loudest library fight I've ever heard in my life, but it was excellent and pretty brutal. Yeah, that's the first 10 minutes right there.
He gets stitched up,
yeah,
and then he's running away from those Asian guys into that glass where all the knives are.
Yeah, the antique stuff.
And then
he makes his own gun first. I also want to point out when he went to Doc, he that kind of set his kind of like respect for John Wick is a big part of this movie.
Oh yeah.
And that Doc part kind of set that up for later events in the movie because everyone in this community of assassins has mad respect for John Wick. Because John Wick has always been respectful and like he's just a genuinely good dude as much as an assassin can be, right? But yeah, then he goes to the antique shop with the knife.
He goes to the antique shop, and then there's like this knife scene, which there wasn't any knife scenes before in the other John Wick movie. And they're throwing knives left and right, and it's just it was just
they're grabbing
crazy.
them off the shelves and smashing things.
So
and
goodness. That's the most like knives I've seen in like a fight scene.
It wasn't over the top. It wasn't like, all right, with the knives.
It felt real, and when they were even throwing knives, like it was sometimes bouncing off because sometimes the knives wouldn't even like hit. Oh, that's pretty accurate. Like you're not gonna get every knife.
Yeah, they get like 80% of them.
Yeah,
there's a lot of knives. It was just the whole like hallway of knives.
Yeah, different kinds of knives.
But it was awesome.
Different ways to throw knives.
Yeah, there was axe. There was an axe in there too.
Oh, yeah. You see him in the background?
That's also one of the things I really love about this movie is that John Wick actually goes and kills his guy.
Oh, he finishes the job.
He finishes the job like a real assassin.
And the way the camera work, like they don't shorthand you with any cuts. Like they don't like take it. They don't like show you 14 cuts while he's hopping a fence. Every fight movement that he does is so fluid and you can tell has a background in like MMA martial arts. Judo is involved. You could see there's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu involved. You can see that there's Krav Maga. Like they have like all these different techniques, and you could really tell, especially for those of you that like do practice martial arts. Like you will see it.
That reminds me. That's one thing I love about these movies is like when a guy gets hit or gets shot or gets knifed or something, he's on the ground. He's not dead instantly,
Or minus, not just like doing the assassin.
Minus the headshot, of course. But like if John Wick's fighting 2 people. He'll knock one of them down or stab him or something, and then as he's fighting the next guy, that guy's getting up or trying to get to his weapon again, so then he'll have to take care of him. So it just shows you like it's so much more realistic where it's like one hit doesn't take you out.
Then this is where he gets to the horses, right?
Yep, he goes into a stable of horses.
Kills people by spanking horses.
Yep.
And as stupid as that sounds,
it's really cool.
It was one of my favorite scenes. They're finding unique ways, and it's not like stupid ways. Like he was running through like a barn or like a stable, right? Yeah. And that's what he had. He didn't have a gun. Like that's what he does.
He used his surrounding.
Yep.
Yeah.
They do so well.
And then he just even goes on and then rides one of the horses.
He does, yeah. And the gunfight and that.
And there's motorcycle guys like chasing him, and he
like takes one of the guy's guns and then hits him off or shoots him in the face, and then does the whole like the Mulan side of the horse thing, where he's riding and then he shoots him from underneath the horse, then gets back up. That's Keanu doing what Keanu does.
Yep. And then after that, it kind of just throws into more of like that universe of what we're getting.
Resources what he can use.
We get more of like that whole like upper, high table is what they're saying, the code of the assassin, that kind of stuff.
It really shows you what the strength of, like, how strong is the sense of honor amongst these thieves, and how weak it is. Like, you see breaks and you see parts where it bends and you see parts where it doesn't move. And it kind of shows you, like, all these diverse beliefs amongst the assassin system in a pretty, in a good way. Like, it's a cinematic way that they do it, and I had no problems with it. And there's definitely a sense of mystery still to it. And that's what makes me so excited for 4.
They showed a lot of payoffs from the second movie that they did in this one. And then they set up so well for another movie, which I'm pretty sure they will have payoffs in that 4th movie.
He kind of like he has this one like rosaries that he has from where he actually like grew up and trained, which is awesome because you actually get to see. And it's a really strict like Russian.
And they do it in a cool way too. They don't just be like, this is where he has trained.
Oh, this is where I grew up. Yeah. Pokemon style where, I have phone service. You have to pick it up on your own, and it's not like hard to pick up. So yes, you see kind of like who raised him. You see how he was raised. You see like how other kids are raised, and she kind of like has a favor to all her kids that she's, once you can ask like one favor once you leave, basically kind of thing. And he cashes in to go to like Casablanca, where he basically cashes in another favor that he's collected. And you can tell and that's John Wick's character. He's this character who doesn't really need favors, and that's why he has all these stocked up. And he's finally like, all right, now I need to cash in because I'm in some deep doo doo. That's where he meets Halle Berry,
and she has 2 like guard dogs,
and they're the coolest little dudes of all time,
expertly trained.
Basically, she basically did a blood oath type thing with John Wick back in the day to get her daughter back. There's a very deep story with Halle Berry's character, and you can sense like the emotion that she packs into the scene is really good, and it really connects you with what her motivations are, as I was talking about in the non-spoilers, and you really get a sense of what she believes and what she wants. And basically, he cashes in to go meet with the coin maker, the guy that makes all the assassin coins.
Coin guy who's going to lead him to
the table. Yeah.
Kind of like sends him on like this riddle kind of thing where John's going to go out into the desert to find him, but the high table guy is going to find him. What's the riddle?
You just go out into the desert, you walk until you can't. You follow like the brightest star, and then the guy will find you. Or you'll die. Yeah, or you'll just die in the desert alone.
But this is where Jonathan got beat during the movie. He got abused. So basically he's like, so since I gave you this favor and since I let you bring this excommunicated guy in here to talk to me, you owe me a favor. And he wants one of her dogs. And she's all like, hell no! That's my dog! And I was like, respect. And he goes, fine. Then no one can have him, and shoots him. And he has a bulletproof vest on, so the dog doesn't die. Calm down. I know, I was upset too. But
what follows?
He hath incurred the fury that is Halle Berry. And full-on Storm came out from X-Men. And John Wick was like, don't do it. And then she's like, he shot my dog. And then she just starts shooting everybody. And then the dogs get in and start biting people. And the dogs...
great fighters.
I don't know if there's such a thing as dog choreography, but... damn! It was so good! Like, the dogs were jumping over all... like, oh my god, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, you gotta go see this just for the dog scene. This is more shit! I mean, the dogs are running around, and her commands with the dog's movements flowed really well, too. And it actually focused mainly on Halle Berry during this entire fight scene, and kind of rarely went to John Wick. Usually when it strays from the main character like that for me, I'm like, okay, well, I want to see the guy I've been watching for 2 movies. But in this scene, I was all for seeing more Halle Berry and her dogs. And then there's this one part where she gets tangled up with this one guy, and then this one guy from up top kind of like comes over and is about to shoot her, and she commands this dog to jump. off her back and then like 10 feet up a wall, and then he bites the dude right in the crotch. Because he's a good boy. The choreography with the people in general is amazing, and then they added dogs into this scene, and it's so awesome.
And then Halle Berry just calls them over, and they just trot out and jump in the car, go out to the desert that they were talking about. And then, like, they've just been through this fight, but Halle Berry character is definitely still not friends with John by any means. They're like, all right, here you go have fun, You're gonna die, whether like here, tomorrow, next, you're gonna die eventually. So he goes off, he does this thing. The guy above the high table does, in fact, come and get him and save him. Then there's a whole conversation between those two. It's kind of when the story slows down a little bit.
But it's going to lead you on to...
and that's what's
definitely a huge moment for 4.
And even like before that happens, we're starting to get kind of like this messenger from the high table that's going around, and she's kind of threatening the manager position within the, the Continental, saying that you have like 7 days. He goes to Lawrence, who runs like the underground, and then she says, she threatens him and says, hey, you need to leave within 7 days.
He doesn't respond.
He doesn't like it. He's all like, I am the king, which was like dope because
it was dope.
I love how he just said his lines.
But yeah, he kind of pays for it later, and then that's kind of where you see the first kind of ninja scene.
She recruits a ton of like these ninjas, and they're just amazing.
And this was the part for me that kind of got a little predictable, but it was a fun predictable. Like I wanted to predict it because this is where they're kind of in the background, in the shadows, and this is kind of the fight scene where they kind of take over Lawrence Fishburne's area, the Bowery, is where I didn't really expect it first, and then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna see if I can catch him, because there's one scene where this guy's like behind a wall, and then all of a sudden he just gets stabbed through the head, and you're like, where the hell did that come from? And there's a guy like on top of the lockers in the shadows.
Yeah, we're watching it in IMAX,
and you still didn't see him.
And we still can't see him.
But you realize it once they come out that you're like, he was right there. I knew he was right there, and I didn't think of it. Yeah. Basically what they're doing is they're trying to like make people pay for helping John Wick. They're trying to send a message like, don't help him. He's excommunicated. You shouldn't be talking to him.
So that was just like the sub story of like what's kind of like building up, and we're gonna later kind of see that consequence of like what those Winston and
Lawrence Fishburne's
character following John, and then he goes back to New York to kill Winston,
and he does that. It's part of a deal that he makes with the man above the high table.
Yes.
He's stuck with him, and he's like, spare my life. I want to keep living for the memory of my wife. As with everything in this organization, everything comes with a price, and this favor's done and things done. So he has to basically cuts off his ring finger and gives his ring to him, the man above the high table. And then the other part of that is he has to go and kill Winston, the manager.
That's definitely setting up for 4. I'm calling it now because you can kind of see he puts it in his pocket, the ring that John leaves him, and there's no doubt that he's coming back for that ring.
Yeah, he's got to kill the man above.
He is not leaving that behind.
So then we go back to New York. John's going to kill Winston. Because there's that, friendship and loyalty. Like he's been working, and coming to Winston's place for like the longest time, that he decides not to kill him and go against the high table. And then there's just this whole fight scene where the high table just sends these guys
at bulletproof swords, like just juggernauts in like Modern Warfare 3 or whatever.
Yeah. 2. Bulletproof, and a way to make it so that you can take multiple shots to the head without
it like concusses them and definitely stuns them. But yeah, it does not kill them.
John Wick's like the only thing to get to those guys was to actually get close to them and just shoot their necks, which was the only vulnerable part of the thing.
Pull it back.
He has to pull the helmet and shoot the person until they go back to the vault to get more guns. Yeah. And the guns are like these shotguns.
They have like a single slug armor, like a single slug
armor
piercing slug, and so it just
boom! It does damage. First shot is like takes off half a guy's face, and you're like, "What?
Yeah, they got the right gun now."
Yeah. And that's what they do. Really cool scenes where like he's on a wall and he's like
Yeah.
The way that he reload and then he shoots like one side and then he'll come back and reload and then it'll shoot to the other side and it's all one shot. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just falling. It's just kind of pivoting.
It just shows like you have
It's fun.
to be precise.
It's
Because like if he
fun.
misses a reload, like if he messes up one time, he's dead. So he has to be perfect. He has to be quick.
Basically, they're able to kind of take him out. The concierge guy steps in, has a bigger role here, and he's kind of a set, like number 2 to John Wick, kind of,
Yeah.
and he's taking out some people too.
You always knew he was a badass, but now you get to see.
Oh yeah, you actually get to see him in action. Why he's the
Yeah.
concierge, yeah, and he's awesome. And basically, you get through all the kind of tactical guys, and then you get to the ninja guys that are kind of left over. It's a really cool fight. He kind of takes out 2 grunts, and it kind of you can tell he's learning. So there's like layers of fights, kind of. It's almost like a tower.
It really
of fighting.
is.
He's definitely learning because he's used to being kind of on par with everyone else's quickness, and these guys are just way quicker than him. And so it kind of takes him a while. He struggles a little bit with the first 2, takes them out, and then he gets to the kind of like the 2 like high-end assassins in the organization, I guess. They like, for that first kind of like take him by surprise and almost get him. But they let him up because they're like, we're huge fans. Like, we want to beat you. We want to beat John Wick. We don't want to like catch John Wick by surprise. We want to beat John Wick. It's a fight for pride almost, kind of like and it's pride and respect because John Wick's been in this industry for a while and has really set the bar for so many different assassins. They're gonna kill him. They're gonna like kill him right. They don't want it to be a cheap victory. And that's kind of with the Japanese culture. It's about honor for them, and that's why they're different than the other.
There was a cool payoff with like John Wick's belt, which is like really weird to say, but it was so cool. You go to his home place and they're just like, oh, you need to take your belt off. So he takes his belt off and puts on a thing.
You're kind of like,
You're just like, oh, why, And then it shows it later on when they're fighting those 2,
ninja guys.
ninja assassin guys. He's all like, I don't have any weapons. They have blades. I'm going to use my belt.
I mean, that's kind of like where he learns in the first one. He learns in that one, like, to use kind of his strength against these guys because he's a lot bigger than them. And he's, like I said, he's kind of used to being the more quicker one.
Definitely smashes.
And that's how he beats them. Yeah, he beats them by being the stronger one. And then you see more growth in the next fight where he kind of faces off against the leader, kind of doing this thing where he kind of disappears during combat. And, like, John Wick will turn around and he'll be like, where did he go? And basically, like I said before, where he's learning through these stages, he starts doing it to him because he's a freaking boogeyman. Towards the end of this fight, where you think, John Wick's kind of like losing a little bit, then the guy turns around to kind of finish him off and John Wick's gone. John Wick's behind him and then he like fights again and then John Wick's gone again. He's like, oh, crap. He's got me now. And John Wick basically finishes him off by using kind of his own skill.
And making it better.
He's like the freaking Rain Man of fighting.
Yeah, that's...
yeah. It shows character growth through combat.
He goes on to go up to the roof, and then they kind of have they meet with the messenger from the high table. The Adjudicator. The Adjudicator's there, and then Winston turns on John Wick, but you realize that he does that for John Wick, I feel like.
But he also does it for himself in a sense too.
Yeah, but I mean,
he definitely lied to John Wick because basically he was doing this to show power to the high table that he deserves his spot still, and she realizes this and she's like, oh, okay, you're right, I will give you your spot back. You did prove you do have some pull and you're still effective, and if you swear fealty, like, we're good. And he does, and then she's like, but I can't let John off. And he was like, and he goes, okay. I definitely agree with you. I don't think he meant to kill him.
No.
Yeah.
Because you still have like that bond, that honor respect bond that's been kind of been holding like these 2 characters together this whole time from the first movie, and there's like a grander scheme to it.
Oh, definitely. The Adjudicator goes down. She's about to leave, and she's like, I'm gonna check because it's John Wick, and basically John Wick's gone, and you can tell because Winston's like, oh no. But yeah, so basically this is where the end of the movie comes in, and the dog kind of runs out and chases after, like he like can sense John's leaving, so he just goes, and it's adorable. And I love it. The dog and John Wick end up being pushed by like a shopping cart by one of the Bowery guys, and Lawrence Fishburne's there, and he's all cut up from his punishment. And he's like, I'm pissed. Are you pissed? And John Wick goes, yeah. That's pretty much how it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now let's get into some IMDb reviews.
IMDb reviews. Actually, I really do enjoy this IMDb stuff.
I want to make sure you guys know, like, you can have a different opinion. We're not saying you can't have a different opinion than us. That's not what we're doing this for. It's in fact the opposite, where we want to point out that other people can have differences of opinion as long as they explain it. If you can explain it, then your opinion is, based in like factual analysis. But if you're just like, I don't like it, you're lying to yourself in a way, and you kind of like are saying, I don't like it, I hate everyone that likes it, and you can't explain why. You're kind of trying to silence the other people that have justified opinions, and that's not okay. If you can explain to me why you think this movie is a 2, and like give me exact like examples and be open to a debate about it, that's great. I can do that all day. But these people that we pick out, we specifically pick out people that are trying to present a critical argument in a non-critical way, in a non-factual, justifiable way. That's kind of what we're making fun of here. So I don't want anyone to have hard feelings. To be like, why can't I have an opinion? You can absolutely have one. Just respect others. After I said all that, we're going to make fun of these dummies. All right, so let's
start from the top of the list.
I'll take the first one.
First one we got here, 9 out of 10 on the stars, so that's respectable. But the title here is already starting with the oxymoron because it says classic John Wick, but too much headshots. Classic John Wick, which there are a lot of headshots, and there's probably even fewer.
There's more in classic John Wick.
Yeah,
John Wick
more
1
before.
had way more headshots than this would.
But yeah, I had to close my eyes every time John have shot someone. So, not very great grammar.
I feel like they missed, out of the last 3 movies, most of it.
If you don't like violence, don't watch this movie for sure.
But especially by now, you should know.
Yeah.
You should know that John Wick's just going to go for the headshots.
Yeah. Just a weird complaint.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one's a 2 out of 10, which I really can't see how you rate this a 2 out of 10. Just like the fight choreography alone in this movie, I feel gets it an automatic 5.
Yeah.
Their complaint here is that over-the-top fight scenes interspread with banal dialogue, which, by the way...
Banal.
Screw you and your big words, okay?
I don't really like
We had to look up banal, and I still don't know what it is.
If you
I don't know what you expected from John Wick.
Right.
If you're like, whoa, what's with the fight scenes in this? This guy's review kind of struck me. I automatically kind of have a problem with this first statement here, but when an A student suddenly turns in a C paper, you give them an F. That's bad teachering.
This explains why America has such poor education.
We're so low in the rankings.
We're so low in the ranking of education.
That makes a lot of sense.
Other
First
countries
world
in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is it.
It's because, teachers do this. If an A student gives a C paper.
We're actually so much smarter. A student to C paper, you give him an F. So is his rating lower now? Because now I don't trust what his rating is, because I feel like he's giving it lower than it was because of the verdict.
No. What he's saying is the first 2 were A movies. This one was a C.
Yeah, I know. So he's giving it an F.
But he's giving it.
That's what I'm saying. So his rating isn't reflective of what he actually thought the movie was. Yeah, it's another one of these classic IMDb skews. Like when we said the movie entertainment wise was a 10, but I give it an 8. I didn't say it was a 10. It was entertainment wise a 10, so I want it to be a 10. I thought critically about it, and we talked about it after the movie. We were really struggling with our reviews because we were really want to give it a high one, but it's not. We have a job to critically review things and think and analyze them, and this guy clearly does not feel that way, but he thinks he does. Basically, he just says it's a cliche fighting movie in general is kind of the summary of it. He just does it in a really drawn out way. He's saying it's like every other fighting movie, which it's absolutely not. It's absolutely totally not on top of every other fighting movie.
It sets it apart.
Yeah,
big time.
And
they strayed away from any cliches.
No, that's what I'm saying. And then he said why didn't John just blank on more than one occasion? Which I didn't say it once, because I don't tell Baba Yaga what to do.
Why would you even ask that? Why didn't John just...
Yeah, I can't even think of an example where you might have thought that.
The fighting was so fast and intense that you couldn't even think of why wouldn't John just do this?
There are times when he did things and I was like, how do you think of doing that?
Yeah.
It was just but that's... Yeah,
Okay.
so his reviews are kind of dumb, so we were
Just
like...
give us more examples of
you have to quote something. So we decided to look at this guy's Timosphere, like Timothy. The first thing that kind of popped up to me, and I feel like it's enough, is that I don't know if you guys have seen any of the Alien vs. Predator movies.
I've seen all of them.
Alien vs. Predator was okay, probably like a 5 or 6. He rated AVP R, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, a 9 out of 10, which I feel like the makers of Alien vs. Predator Requiem wouldn't rate it a 9 out of 10. Absolutely absurd. It was a cliche horror action, like popcorn flick type movie. He liked all the homages to Sigourney Weaver's alien scenes, and he liked some of the cool alien sound effects. And which, if you're gonna complain about, John Wick being kind of like other movies, but you're gonna say that this was good because it was like other movies, I get that he's saying they're homages to previous movies, but it's a pretty tight line to straddle, and he's trying to do it right here. But the thing that really struck me in this review was he said the fear and horror elements of this film were also true to life and really stuck up the what would you do thinking we've all regarded to these horrific creatures, which, again, don't know if you've seen any of these movies, but it is absolutely never what we would do. But like in Aliens, they're like, well, I guess I gotta save the kid. Like, no, I'm getting off this spaceship. Screw that. Like, if you haven't seen it, don't. It's awful. Or instead, go see John Wick, Parabellum.
Or great just to see the...
Absolutely hypocritical kind of...
We're calling you out for that.
Yeah. Then we found this one review. She complains about a non-existent script or a poor attempt of story and the fact that it doesn't end as a trilogy. We'll just start with the script and poor attempt of a story part because I know you care a lot about this next part. But first of all, there was a story and it was not poor. Like we said, nothing in this movie is done poorly. While there might have been some flaws to it, it is absolutely not poor. It is, in general, a good script, a good story. Also, if you're going to say that, explain what elements of it did warrant you saying it was a poor attempt. But you just saying that doesn't prove to me anything. Next part, which I feel is the bore, is the fact that it didn't end in a trilogy. And you know what? Any movie that doesn't end in a trilogy, to me, just isn't worth it. What about you, Josh?
I don't understand why movies have to end in a trilogy. Like, is it a law in this?
To Flick Chick 82. There are so many movies that are really good that are not trilogies.
Yeah.
In fact, she reviews some that are in trilogies and says they're very good. So I don't know why. So let's see what else Flick Chick 82 does. So I put this on there kind of for my own personal reasons because I have a problem with how this movie has been received. But Green Book is not based on a true story. It is not based on a true friendship. That's not coming from me. That's coming from the family of the man it's about. The character that Marshala Ali plays, their family came out around the start of this movie's success and stuff and was like, look, this movie is not at all true. Like, my husband barely knew the driver. He worked for us no more than any other driver. He was very rude to him. And they did not become friends. They were never friends. And Marshala Ali actually had to come out and apologize to that family because it's kind of appropriating an excellent story.
He knew as well. The guy that portrayed him, the actor, also knew that it wasn't him.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a moment where, you see these people trying to fake this tolerance that they did not have. And it's kind of frustrating to see that happen right now. The fact that it appropriated this family's story is kind of just up. Back to making fun of people. The reason we talked about that was because this person talks about how this was a yet effective true story of an unexpected and imaginable friendship between two men, which it absolutely wasn't. So I just wanted to point that out. Just a little sub rant. Doesn't really mean so she might not have known, but if you're gonna write a review, no. That was just a public service announcement for y'all. But back to the more core of our IMDb reviews is the fact that they rated a Venom, the Tom Hardy movie, a 10 out of 10. Huge Spider-Man fan. Absolutely love Spider-Man. and I love the character of Venom, and this was not a 10 out of 10. You can see here I rated it about a 6. I thought it was good. I thought Tom Hardy's acting was great, which she says in her review, but that's the only thing she says in her review. She says Tom Hardy was great, 10 out of 10. Like I said, every actor in John Wick was great, and I didn't give it a 10 out of 10. So yeah, so the next one we're going to look at is pad reviews.
Oh.
So
Wow, this one starts with a must love dogs or else. Uh-oh.
you leave the dogs out of this. They have nothing to do with your and how little you. They're angels
really,
sent from the heavens
really
above.
bad movie.
All of them.
No, just
They're
no.
angels.
No,
They're
no,
angels
no.
that need.
Perfect.